Juli Ferman is Cupid's coach, and she's been bringing, well, couples together since 1990. She has 1,400 success story couples at last count. She may have more now. She's based in Los Angeles and Santa Fe. Boot camp classes throughout the year for men and women of all ages, by the way, and all backgrounds. She also does summer retreats annually and special events throughout the year. And she will be talking about boot camp coming up during this program here tonight. So, welcome once again, the host with the most, my friend, your friend, and Juli Ferman. Come on in. Great to see you tonight.
Hey, Rich. Glad to have you all here. It's so wonderful to see a bunch of new faces, and it's just exciting to me. I see people from Florida, I see Massachusetts, I see New Mexico, I see California, I see Missouri, where I'm from, and I see some men in the room too, which is exciting because today's program is all about how to attract a strong, secure man. And I told some guys, I said, listen, there's going to be
I
a lot
guess
of
we have to
ladies in the
share.
room. But if you're really smart,
Oh,
you're going to be there too. Anybody who hasn't yet, turn your mute on so that we can have a quiet room. And for those of you who are brand new in my community, I want to welcome you. I'm the only matchmaker who operates in this kind of a pyramid kind of a way. Whether you spend a whole bunch of money here with me or no money at all, I'm really happy that you're here. I love serving all of you at various levels. So the new people don't know that it's free and it's private to be registered with me, eligible for personal matchmaking referrals. And half of the introductions, more than half of them now from this desk, are free. We call them mitzvah matches, and I don't promise them, but I love to make them happen. And once you have your profile complete, your photos, we've had a call together, so I know you're real, then you'll be eligible for referrals. And a lot of you have done the Zoom consultations with me where we look at real live people together and I get a sense for the type of person you're interested in, who appeals to you, who you're attracted to. We get to find some blind spots. It's really, really fun. And then we have boot camp. We'll be talking about that a little later. Boot camp happens 6 times a year, and it's coming up next week, starting on the 13th of March. It's a 30-day program, not very time intensive. It's not meant to be, but it's meant to be very experiential. So there's 6 recorded video sessions throughout the course of the month and one-on-ones with me. And the part that you guys always love the most is office hours calls on Thursday nights and or Friday mornings where everybody's together wrestling with the information. It's really awesome. And then some of you are my high-level matchmaking clients, which means I'm your personal love slave for a 4-month period of time. And it's really fun. And my thrill is to help you all figure out where you should be in my community and what you should be doing wherever you are to maximize your opportunities. So tonight is all about preparation for the relationship that's in your future. And I have brought my colleague and my good friend, Bob C. Grant, with me, and we're going to put him on the spot tonight. His company is Relationship Headquarters, and he has a Facebook group, Women Men Adore. And it's quite popular. And he found me because I think he heard me on a podcast with Nicole Middendorf. That's how we met first. And then we started a dialogue. I fell in love with the guy. I had him on my podcast, and we had one of the most beautiful interviews that I've had. So I'm bringing him to all of you today. And welcome to the program, Bob C. Grant.
Thanks, Julie. It's nice to be here.
What's it like to be the guy who's coaching women about dating guys?
I never really thought much about that until a couple other coaches asked me, like, how come you coach women? And I said, I don't know. I said, probably because I had one that worked out really well and liked her. And she told all of her friends. And so it just sort of snowballed. And I really like it because a lot of the women I work with, I mean, they're really nice and they try really hard. It's not for lack of effort. And my heart, not in a pity kind of way, but there's no reason for them not to find that special man. And so that just became a fun, calling, if you want to say that. And I relate well to them, mainly because I'm probably a guy that likes to listen, so they're not used to that. And so when they get to see that and experience it, they get to know that it is possible.
It's clearly possible. I've never seen so many relationships spark and kindle as I have these last few years. And I think part of it is because I'm able to do so many more introductions than I've ever been able to do because I'm focusing on also the community service division of the company. So it's been really, really fun. And what I learned earlier is that both Bob and Rich have kids. Rich has twins and Bob has a set of triplets, 3
Mm.
boys and a
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just one set of triplets.
one set of triplets and then a girl. And so I always find it interesting how those of us who are in the relationship industry, the dating industry, is what we do is facilitate connections and love for people. It changes how we raise our children. Like, I'm curious what you guys are sharing with your children that maybe you wish you had known when you were that age. And so it's something fun to think about. And those of you who are curious to ask questions to Bob, go ahead and type them in the chat because Rich is going to be paying attention and then he'll forward the question over to Bob. So let's have fun with that question, Bob. In what ways are you raising your boys, knowing what you know now that you didn't know when you were their age? How old are they now?
They are 16.
16, that's a really
Mhm.
good time to be able to start focusing on how we should be doing dating. Uh, what do you wish you had known about women when you were 16 that you know now?
I wish I'd have known when I was 16 how much women do not like being needy or things that come across that way. So things that I would have thought, you know, that they don't like, that I've seen and listened to a lot of women, that it's not a judgment or harsh thing, is they just like men that if they say something, they get it done. Good days, bad days. I mean, we all struggle. And, don't make a promise unless you're willing to follow through with it. Because I was 16, I've always been pretty empathetic, but I would say stuff and not always follow through. I really meant it at the time. When I said it, I really meant what I was saying. But then I didn't feel it as much later. And it just kind of, whatever I promised or said I would do, sometimes just kind of, and that caused lack of trust at times. Girlfriends did not like that. So,
No, we don't like that.
mm,
When I boil it down, those of you who've done consultations with me or I'm working with you early on in our relationship, I don't care how long your list is of preferences, requirements, things that you really would love to see, but we're always going to focus on what's more important than anything. What are the things that you'd rather be single forever than partner with somebody who didn't have this quality? The one you just mentioned, Bob, the overarching umbrella there, I call it trustworthiness.
mm,
And if you tell me you're going to be my guest on tonight's webinar and you're going to show up, well, I expect you to show up. And when you
mhm,
do, I'm all over it. Love
mhm,
it. But
mhm,
if you
mhm.
didn't, then not quite the same. And it's like that in every area of life. Raise your hand, ladies, if trustworthiness, if the guy's word means something to you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. More important than, let's say, how tall is he? So funny this week. Oh my goodness. I had an opportunity for a lady to meet my gentleman client, and she writes back. She's been with me a while. She writes back and says, "How old is he?" And I said, "Remember, we don't reveal age in my community. I don't put it on the profiles." And she's like, "I love that you don't reveal my age, but can you tell me his?" I'm like,
Mhm,
"No, I won't. I mean,
mhm,
I could, but I won't." And how tall is he? She's 5'1". I said, "Darling, it doesn't matter. Okay." So what's more important, height or whether he has hair or whether he wears a beard or not? Another lady wanted to turn down a guy this week because he had a beard in one of his photos. In one, in the other 4 photos, he didn't have a beard. Sometimes I
mhm,
like to show both and get a sense for what are the girls liking, the guy with the beard or without the beard.
mhm.
It's hilarious. So none of that's as important as what we just talked about, Bob, which is trustworthiness. There's
No,
something else you mentioned in the work that you do, and it has to do with anxiety. One of the things, tell us about what anxiety does to you guys. Like when we're anxious, what does that feel like to you?
often it's how it's presented. So depending on who I'm talking to, a lot of the women I speak with, when they're anxious, they want to fix something. And there's something that the man or someone has done that feels like it's triggered that. And if I'm a man and get blamed for that, I'm upset because you blank. What men tend to do is we tend to prioritize stuff, and any guys here, by all means, tell me if you agree, is how important is this? So, you're anxious because I'm 5 minutes late. It's just hard to take that seriously. Now, most of the time, you know better than to say that. And we figure it's probably something else. But if you just keep telling me, no, it's because you're 5 minutes late. No, it's because you're 5 minutes late. There's a disconnect. And that makes it harder for us to empathize and harder for us because it triggers that I want to fix something. I want to protect. I want to do something. But what you're saying doesn't make sense in that example. If it's something I'm doing that you're really sharing and not blaming, that means I'm more likely to feel it. So, you feel scared when I drive fast. You're not even blaming, you're just saying I just feel scared when you're driving like this. Most men, when I hear that, it's not worth driving fast to make her scared. It's not worth, is it worth, if I'm 2 minutes late? Probably. So a lot of times it's how it's presented, because when you're anxious, it's really authentic, that's vulnerable, but it helps us understand, oh, this is important, this is critical, this really is affecting her versus she's just using it to blame on me. Because if I feel blamed or attacked, I get defensive or I
Yeah.
just dismiss or detach.
Are you telling me, Bob Grant, that it's never too late for a man to reform his driving habits?
No, it is never too late.
Seriously? Oh, I have hope. You know, it's one of those little pressure points with Mr. Furman and me. He has to be driving. He is the driver. And so I just kind of try to let it go and not get aggravated about things. But like when he's discourteous or something, it's challenging for me, but we have to pick our battles, right? So a friend of mine, it's so funny. I was just at this conference at Modern Elder Academy, which is how I know Lisa. Raise your hand, Lisa. And the lady that I do one-on-one calls with now, she taught me a breathing exercise that I've been doing when I'm in the car and Mr. Furman is doing what Mr. Furman does in the car. And that is 4 counts breathing in, hold it for 2, 7 counts breathing out. And once you've done it like 3 times, it's a reset and I'm not so annoyed by the way he drives. We sometimes can get awfully annoyed by things. And when we're annoyed all the time, or a lot of the time, that's annoying, right? It's just plain annoying. When we're annoyed with you, Bob, and we're rolling our eyes and we're like, oh, sexy, not sexy. What do you say about all that?
Annoying is probably the right word
When
because
we're annoyed
what you
with
do what you
people,
do is what I call hinting. So
yeah.
you're upset with me, but you're not saying it. You're rolling your eyes, you're huffing and puffing. And it's just as bad when men do it too, because women aren't the only ones that do it. But hinting, is because I don't want to be vulnerable and say it. I just want to make a gesture where I don't have to stick my neck out and say, would you please slow down? Or would you please stop interrupting me? Or whatever you're doing, I don't like. So if I hint, I can do it and you'll do what I want. And because when men don't like that is, it feels like you're my mom. It's like you're raising that eyebrow at the dinner table because I threw food at my brother. And I'm like, and so that's the reaction we get of who are you to tell me what to do? Most of the time we don't say that, we just think it. But you see that look on our face, which is annoyed of just, what in the world are you? And that lack of vulnerability makes us feel like we're being competitive.
Interesting. All right. So what's your suggestion if there are some things that you're doing that are making me a little uncomfortable, not too crazy about it? Do I just wait till it's something that's really important and let the little stuff go? And part of it's
Yeah.
timing.
No, because I like the idea of telling someone, whatever it is, you can enforce anything, but is it worth it? Is it worth going all the way with it? If someone's driving 90 miles an hour, whatever I got to do to get you to slow down, stop. I'm not kidding, stop. Most things are not worth it. What we want to get away from is what's the one thing I can do that'll just make him do no matter what? And that's a hit or miss. You may catch me at a bad day where I'm just not real in tune with you. We just had a fight or disagreement, and now I'm really not in tune with you, but it still may be something important to you. What I'm willing to go all the way with is whatever I have to do to say, no, this is really critical. And most things are not worth that effort. And so I like the idea of empowering someone. You can enforce anything, but don't just try it one time. If this isn't important enough to follow up with, maybe it's not that important.
Good. So one of the things we're determining already is that in order to attract a strong, secure man, we ought to be choosy about how we offer our criticism and judgment. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. For the men thinking, we wouldn't pick that word, right? Like criticism and judgment. I know
Yeah.
what you mean. I'm just having a little fun with
I'm
you.
trying to think back on 50,000 interviews I've done over 35 years. And I'm trying to think of one time when a guy said to me, you know, what I really want is a woman who's judgmental and critical and needs everything a certain way.
Mhm.
Don, is that
You-
sexy? Is that sexy or not sexy? No, not
No,
sexy.
but see,
Yeah.
most time a man, if he's connected to you, we get that you're going to have bad days. We get that you're not going to say it right all the time. We get some women are louder, some are quieter, some we do get that. It's the respect thing is so big to us is that you give us the benefit of the doubt that even if I'm driving away, picking driving, you understand my intent is just to get us there safely. Now, what is safe with me, I have to do this with my boys. They're driving at times. I'm like, remember, guys, there's other people in the car. There's just, I get it, but the rest of us don't know what you're doing. So we get jostled around. So some of it's just a reminder with us. But if it's done respectfully, then I can hear you better because you're giving me the benefit of the doubt with my intentions. Because sometimes I'm not trying to get on your nerves. Sometimes this is just the way I do it. And it's strange to me that this bothers you, but if it does, okay. As
Well,
opposed to I'm doing it wrong.
it's so cute that we're talking about driving because one of the things that I have to remind myself about is that for Mr. Furman, driving is a sport. It's not just getting from one place
Yes.
to another. It's a sport. There's like, yeah, I get to be bigger than this guy. I get to be bigger than this guy. And it's fun for him. And he forgets that I'm over there going,
Mm-hmm. I tell you, one of the best things I heard on a YouTube channel, and she said, I never thought about it this way. And she was a woman. She says, guys, I want you to drive as though I am precious cargo. And I thought, oh, well, that's a different way of driving than just getting there, which is what most men think. I'm just picking this. And see, I wouldn't have thought that until I had heard her say that. Oh, okay. So that's the making me feel safe in the car is more important than us saving 3 minutes, beating the, time to arrive thing on the Google Maps. It's not about a competition in the car, but that's how most guys think. Google Maps, that's time to beat. That's not time to arrive. And so for us, it's a competitive thing of can I beat this by a minute or two?
I never would have thought of that, that you're trying to beat how long Google says it's going to take
Yes.
you to get there. I love that. That's
Mhm.
hilarious. There's another topic that I want to bring up that you're the perfect guy to ask about this, Bob. And it's something that hits my desk 45 times every day, which is related to money and who pays for what and who earns what and blah, blah, blah. As the guy related to money and wealth and entitlement, all this kind of stuff, what does a strong, secure man need from a woman in the domain of who pays for what? I know that there's a one-word answer. I wonder if you're going to say it. What comes to mind when we're dealing with this issue for you with a strong, secure man?
Regarding money,
Yeah.
nothing.
Early in dating too. Early in dating, like
Yeah.
the first 3 dates, the first 5 dates, the
Yeah.
first month or two, all those little sticky issues that come up regarding money. What does a strong, secure
Yeah.
man need from a woman
What
regarding
does
money?
what does he need? Nothing. What does he like? Appreciation.
That was the word. I knew you were going to
Mhm.
say it. appreciation for whatever gifts you brought to the table, right?
Yes, it's because I'm trying. I'm trying to make a good impression. I'm trying to show this is a reflection of me. This is I'm out of courtesy, I invited you to do something with me. You didn't have to, but it was a courtesy. And so therefore, I like the idea of trying to impress you, but not just because of you, because it's part of me, because I like doing that. It's fun to take care of someone. And if I don't do it to your specifications, I get I'm going to miss it at times. But telling me I did it wrong, no one would say that, of course. But if I pick a restaurant and for whatever reason, something, I'm going to ask you to give me the benefit of the doubt that I'm trying. And because that appreciation helps me to learn. Okay, that's not the reaction I was hoping for. I need to tweak that. I need to figure out what was it. Maybe it was the restaurant, the food, something didn't, because I can make more money, but I cannot get the reaction from you that I get when I hit the right button, when I've impressed you. That's the prize, is having some emotional reaction from you.
And isn't it nice if we can discipline ourselves to bring appreciation for whatever it is that you do? Like I had a situation today where I'm putting a date together and he chose the restaurant and I told her the restaurant and I could tell that she hesitated, like, oh, it wasn't a nice enough restaurant. Like she hadn't heard of it and she went and looked it up and like it was just sort of a normal restaurant instead of something special. She was thinking something special. You know, another guy took her to Shutters for a first date. Okay, well, that's over the top. Dinner at Shutters is over the top. I can't promise that and I wouldn't expect it. But I could tell she was hesitating. And so I made sure to jump in and let her know he's a casual guy. He's not Mr. Fancy Pants on the first date. Have a blast. You know, I had to kind of set it up. But how does it feel for the guy when you're setting something up and she's like, oh,
I have not had that and cannot imagine it first. So
I'm
how
glad to
would it
hear.
feel? Insulting. And part of it is, I mean, for someone to actually say that, I mean, I don't think someone would say that, hopefully not. But just the thought of that is, early on in dating, I'm just trying to help people get through the first date.
Yeah.
Just no bombs, no crazy stuff. Just can we? And I mean, most women I talk with, they like being asked out. They appreciate the effort. I mean, even if they're like, gosh, I wish it was different. They don't, I mean, the ones that do say that, I cringe a little bit and just, I'm like, really? You said that? Seriously? And then I'll hear, I shouldn't have said that. No, probably not. Probably. Because, when you hear it out loud, it's like, oh, but that lack of appreciation, especially with a strong man, he doesn't necessarily need you to validate him like why you're so strong, as much as I know the effort I put into this. And if you don't see that, what's the point of me trying? Again, they're not going to say
Yeah.
that, but that's the
Yeah.
feeling.
Beautiful the way you said it. I'm remembering a gentleman client that I had in San Francisco. I love this guy. And he's educated. He's built his company. It's bi-coastal. Sometimes he's in New York. Sometimes he's in California. And he's real smart with money. And he used to do the dinner thing on the first date all the time. And his financial planner sat him down. He said, Peter, you're not going to make your financial goals if you keep spending this much money on restaurants. And he said, but I'm dating. And he says, who says dating's got to be, a $75 dinner someplace or, drinks at an expensive place with appetizers that cost a bundle? Why don't you just do a more casual date? So that was Peter's plan, is to do a more casual date. And he said, the right woman is not going to judge me if it's a casual drinks date or a coffee date or something like that, as long as it's experiential and I bring my A game. Well, there were women who judged him, and he said something I'll never forget. So I'm going to share it with you guys. He said, "When a woman expects something from me, it robs me of the joy of providing it."
Hmm.
I'll never forget it. And so during COVID, this was really fun. There was not much fun about COVID, but I will tell you that dates got more creative during COVID.
Mhm,
And there
mhm,
were times when I had dates going on in Santa Fe, in Los Angeles, all over the place. And I knew where all the park benches were in different parks, and people would
mhm,
show up, you know, with the
Mhm.
picnic or whatever, and she'd bring cookies and he'd bring martinis or whatever whatever
Mhm.
it was. I had a couple meet at a parking lot in between Albuquerque and Santa Fe at the casino with a couple of lawn chairs, and that was a
Mhm.
date, right?
Mhm.
And some of those dates were really magical. And we
Mhm.
had to start dates on Zoom because we had face masks and restaurants were closed, and all of us got really creative. And some of those dates were absolutely magical and stuck. So I learned the value of, it's not about what we do on a date,
Mhm.
it's about bringing our presence and giving this
Mhm.
person the gift of our presence and
Mhm.
our focused attention. So the
Mhm.
nature of the date, what it looks like, let's get over it. Can we do that? Can everybody just raise your
Mhm.
hand if you're willing to get over what the first date looks like? Please, just please. Hey, Rich, do we have some questions there for Bob in the chat?
Over it.
Actually,
Uh,
I've got one.
do.
This is my own question. Listening to you is very interesting here, but do women really want a strong man? I've heard some pushback on that. They don't want the strong. So, Bob, what do you say to that when you hear? Oh, Julie's laughing. But, Bob, what do you say about the strong man? Do women want it? Not.
So, ladies, I know I'm speaking for you, but this is just what I've heard is when women say they want a sensitive man or not necessarily weak, what they mean is a strong man that can be sensitive at times. But the strength part, I don't necessarily mean domineering. What I find is what women hate the most is men that are needy, and needy is the opposite of strong. So when they're weak, they always want reassurance, or when something bad happens, they always want, and we all have bad days, but that's very unappealing. And so if I'm talking to men, I'm like, I get it, you're having a hard time. That's for you and your buddies. That's for go find a coach, find someone over here, but don't take that out on her in fairness, because that's your job to fix that problem. You know, and most men understand this. We fix problems. We like fixing problems. Not that you can, but we like it. So a man that's not exhibiting his strength to me is a man that's not walking in his masculine energy, you know, what he was created for.
And
Wow.
it's really beautiful. You guys like to fix problems, and
Mhm.
I learned this from our friend Allison Armstrong. Donna Alexander's in the group tonight, and Allison helped us understand how important it is to let you guys know when we have something on our mind and we're talking, what is it we need you to do? Do we need you to fix the problem, or do we just need you to, as she says, hold the trash can? And so if I remember to do that, I'm like, okay, Gil, I got to tell you something. You don't have to do anything. I'm just going to tell you what happened today, and it's really funny, or it made me sad. You don't have to do anything. I
Mhm.
just want to tell you. Can I tell you?
Mhm.
And that you're like, okay, I don't
Mhm.
have to do anything, right? It's like your shoulders relax, right?
Mhm. No, it is, because then now I know, okay, I'm not responsible for fixing this.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's just a
Because
beautiful.
I think for us, when there's it's uncomfortable, we fix our own problems. We just assume if you're uncomfortable, you want me to fix this problem because that's just what I know to do. But the idea of just sitting with it is just foreign. Just to sit and not do anything or not pound something or solve something or somehow try to fix something.
Well,
So
the
now,
question that was asked is, do we really want to be with a strong, secure man? Because when we are, there are times when we might not always get our way,
Mhm.
right?
so, so I've got a question slash comment from Laura, but you guys were talking about creative dates. How does this one go for you, Bob? Your first date is going to a dog park with 3 dogs. Good option, bad option. What do you think of that one?
No, I think it's fun. I mean, because what I like is because it's different, it's fun, and it's I mean, a lot of the attitude you go into it. If I'm rigid with this is how it should be, that just means the other person has to guess right. Or maybe I catch them on the right day. But if it's, you know, something that I hadn't thought of, I mean, unless it's atrocious, you know, and someone's like allergic to dogs or something extreme like that, I like the effort that someone puts into it. So I wouldn't have thought of something like that, but no, I mean, I think it's fun.
Here's another great question. This was going
Anything
deeper.
dogs. Hang on a second, Rich. I want to put in something about dogs.
Okay.
Um, for people who love dogs, anything dogs is good. Like for two people who have dogs, instead of leaving them home, meet at the dog park, whatever, can be great for people who love dogs. Some of you know what our son Kevin is doing. Our youngest son Kevin is Bowie the Uber dog. Okay, he's making tons of money right now. His dog is paying his bills because he's an Uber driver sometimes, and he always films what's going on in his car. And the dog is there and everybody just loves the dog. There's something about dogs that just light people up. So yeah, I say dogs included in the dating process. As long as both people like dogs, home run, go for it.
Here's a follow-up to your masculinity discussion. What does that mean? A man not walking in his masculinity. Now we're going deep, guys. Unpack that a little bit for them. What does that mean?
So some of the groups I've been in groups with men, like what Julie does for women, or I do with women. And it's had anywhere from plumbers to electricians to therapists, all kinds. And what he would tell us and talk about this was, you guys are meant to create. He goes, I don't care if it's a book, a project, whatever. He goes, all of you have something. He goes, if you're not walking toward that, he goes, you're just treading water and you know it. And he was nice about it. And every guy resonated with that. And I find when men are lost or kind of wandering, there's some task or some dream or something, some calling, something that they're not pursuing that they need to. It's not enough just to get up and go to work. And if they're not going toward that, if they're not, facing sometimes that difficult thing, the fire goes out inside of them. And I mean, this is all personalities. It's a little different for each one. And women can feel that. They don't necessarily know what it is, but you can tell when a man is not necessarily obsessed, but driven and focused on not just a thing, but he's got a purpose in life. And it doesn't matter what it is. And without that, if he's shrinking and just, well, life is hard, I'm just going to punch the clock, that's not the worst thing, but it's going to affect his relationships. It's going to affect him and his children. It's going to affect everything. I've talked to a lot of men that just are getting by. I understand times are tough. And I'm thinking about these groups, and Brian was the guy that would lead it. And the ones that would take him up on it, it's amazing the difference. It's this, because as a man, I can't pursue a woman all the time. Once I've caught her, now she's my queen. I mean, now we're together, we're partners. And so we do stuff together. But she wants to know, what's my vision? What's our plan? I mean, hers too, and she feeds off that. That may be more than you ask. So, but that's why I'm after for men, that if you're not, you're going to put a lot of pressure on a woman to like fill that void, and she can't do it.
So, Julie, I'm going to go to this question for you first, and then Bob, you get a rebuttal or add in. How do men bond? Julie?
Who's first?
Julie's first. How do men bond?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Body language with men, often like sitting next to each other, facing the bar, watching the game or whatever, seems more normal for guys. And when we're always asking guys to be like across from us, like create intimacy, sometimes guys create intimacy looking forward at the same thing. Maybe they're at the dog park watching the dogs, they're watching the game. Bob, what do you say about bonding and how it happens for you?
Well, that's a great insight as far as how men do relate, because you're right, it's a shared task looking at the same thing. I think for me and most men I know, like a deeper bonding thing is, what do you as a woman do when when I do something stupid? I don't mean like awful. When I screw up, and when you're mad, what I want to do is see, if you're mad, can you be mad and still not be aggressive with me and still not take it out of me? Can you not rub my face in it when I screw up? Because that's my moment of weakness. And if that's the case, oh, now I can trust you. Because emotionally is my much more concerned than physically. I'm not really worried about you physically hurting me, but emotionally you could if I let you get close enough. And so that means the world, and I don't realize it until all of a sudden you're mad and you don't go off like I'm afraid you're going to, or you don't hold on to it for 3 months. And that's strange, but wonderful. And after a while, learn to trust it. Where am I going?
So one of the ways that you can bond with me is when you mess up and I'm supportive, forgiving, understanding. We might have a laugh over it, but I'm not going to bring it up 3 months later and right.
Yeah, I'll go deeper. I mean, you can be mad. You probably have every right to be mad, but yet you don't go for the throat. You can be mad because if you're mad, that makes sense. You're mad, and whatever I did, you deserve to be mad, and you don't like that, and I don't appreciate it, and it makes me feel scared, whatever. And especially if you tie an emotion to it, that helps me really resonate with it, because that gets into this is not worth it. Whatever I did, it's not worth it because of how it affects you, and you being unhappy is just awful. Let me emphasize that it stinks beyond anything. And so then I've got to figure out a way to get you out of this unhappy thing because that affects me probably more than anything else.
It's great. Laura was asking, making sure we covered these questions. How do men
Yeah.
bond? We're talking about that one, and how do men fall in love? It's similar. You're more likely to fall in love with me if I demonstrate love for you, toward you, in moments of difficulty, in
Mhm,
moments of time to applaud,
mhm.
intimate moments. How we let you in and how we respond to what happens is going to cause you to either love me more or pull back, right?
Yeah, your emotions for us are just like chocolate. And so when I do something good and you look at me like you're looking now and you smile and tilt your head, that's right, I'm the man. And I may not say that, but that's what it feels like. And so I need to do that more because that worked apparently, whatever I did. And so the more of those touch points I get, what I'm after for women especially is don't keep it inside. Is I know you feel it, but I don't know that. Unless I see it or hear it somehow, I don't necessarily know that I did a good job. It's not enough that you just said thank you. And thank you's fine, but it's like I say thank you to the Uber driver. And that just doesn't resonate with me. But if you feel it and you share it with me, you're training me to how to make you happy. And we don't mind. We love cheat sheets. Cheat sheets are wonderful. We don't really have to discuss it as long as I know that's the right button or the thing you like. Oh, I can do that again.
Hey, it's good to see Ted here. You're down in Mexico, Cabo. Where the heck are you? You're someplace in the tropics, right? Yeah, Baja or something like that. Nice to see you.
This is
Anybody? What's that?
this is
Oh,
another one coming out that list, but I
okay.
really am interested in this one.
All right.
How to be irresistible to men. This is a women's perspective. Women asking it, how to be irresistible to men. Bob first, Julie second.
So the most irresistible thing I find, I think the guys would admit, has to do, it's woman by woman. So Julie, let's say Julie's bubbly, she's effervescent. The more she is that of herself, the more it's going to come across that she's appealing, she's fun to be with, as opposed to she's trying to do stuff to appeal to me. If I don't like fun, I don't like bubbly, I'm not her guy. And so her trying to you may not be saying it's to be irresistible to me, is how do I bend and contort myself versus what is it that I do well that I like doing? I like to be quick-witted. Well, at times I stick my foot in my mouth. And that just goes with it. And so someone that doesn't like that, it's going to be an awful fit for me because every now and then I'll say the wrong thing with good intentions. So whether someone's talkative, quiet, whatever they are, the more true they are to yourself, authentic really is the secret sauce. That takes some courage to do that because that's going to turn away guys that aren't a good fit for you.
This topic, there's a piece of it that I want to bring up about appreciation, and it has to do with the first date. Dating coaches, matchmakers, relationship gurus will have all kinds of different things to say about this question. After a first date, should she text him a thank you? And I say always, except for there are times when a woman is so incredibly feminine that it just doesn't feel right to her to be the one to reach out and say, Bob, I really enjoyed tonight. Thank you so much. Now, if you are a woman like that and you really don't feel like you can bring yourself to text the thank you, that's okay. You got to make sure Bob feels it when you say goodbye. Thank you for meeting me at the dog park. It was a really fun date. I really appreciate it. The other thing Bob wants to know, if he likes her, is does she want to see him again? Isn't that on your mind, Bob?
Mhm. It is.
It's an act of generosity for us as women to let the guy know we had a good time, would be open to seeing him again. Find the words for that rather than sitting there waiting to see what he will do and withholding our appreciation and withholding
Mhm.
our admiration and respect.
Mhm.
I love that you guys try to make us happy. I think that is just the greatest puzzle in the whole world. Men tell this to me all the time, and I hear it from every relationship guru that you guys want to make us happy.
Mhm.
Good luck with that, right? I mean, we got to bring a certain amount of capacity for happiness. There, and it's the same thing with laughter. When ladies say, I need a guy who makes me laugh, I'll call her on it every
Mhm.
single time.
Mhm.
Whether we're laughing or not is really not as much a function of him as it is us, right? How about we be willing and bring our effervescence and our laughter with us? Does it make your job a little easier, Bob?
Mhm. I mean, it does. It lets me know that you're paying attention and that you seem to be engaged. I may not think those words, but you know, the other thing with that is, you know, if you don't find a guy funny, if we don't, some of that's, I tell folks to pay attention to, be courteous, be gracious, but pay attention to that, because if there's no connection with that, okay, that may be something to pay attention to later on. I think what I'm hearing you say is keeping it all inside, keeping it all guarded, you know, feeling something but not letting him see it. And if I know a client well enough, I'll say, stop being so selfish. She'll say, well, no. I said, you're keeping all that good stuff for yourself. Told one today this. I said, and she laughed. Luckily, she laughed. Remember, these guys, that's what they're dating for. They want to know that they're doing it right. They like it when you respond that way. It tells them, oh, okay, because it's nerve wracking to stick your neck out there and get nothing, like silence, because that's what it looks like when you're not interested.
It's one of the reasons why sometimes you get in a text exchange or you're on a phone call and you're trying to figure out where you're going to do the date. Like, where are we going to have the date? Well, the reason the guys are a little nervous about just throwing something out there is because he doesn't know what will make her happy yet. So,
Mhm.
what we can do to save you guys, if it's time for a first date, is say, hey, Bob, just so you know, I'm real easy on a first date. It could be a coffee thing. We could do lunch at a cafe. We could go rollerblading. We could do fancy.
Mm.
I don't care what we do. I'm just
Mm.
looking forward to meeting you.
So that tells me there's no way I can mess it up when I
I don't
hear that.
know what we do on the first date. I just want to spend time
Mhm.
with Bob Grant and see
Mhm.
what's gonna how it feels.
Mhm. Mhm.
We could sit in the car and have fun talking, and that could be a date.
Mhm.
And so the expectation is where we often get into trouble. And what
Mhm.
you want is appreciation. So if I have an expectation and you don't know what it is that's going to make me happy and I haven't told you, I'm
Mhm.
setting you up to fail, brother.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want you to
Yes.
win. So can we give
Mhm.
guys a little bit more of the cheat sheet, ladies? Let them know what'll make us happy. And please don't make it always the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was just on the phone this week with a gentleman who is extraordinarily wealthy, like ridiculous. And he on purpose never does fancy pants dates on the first date or second date or third date. And I asked him why. I know why, but I wanted to ask him anyway. He said the same reason why women don't like to have sex on the first three dates.
Mhm.
Like, it's not about that. It's about being together instead of what we're putting out, right?
Mhm.
It's more about authenticity and actually being together
Mhm.
instead of you got to jump through certain hoops to check my boxes so that you can get the second date.
Mhm.
See how messed up it's gotten?
Yeah, and I think when someone either way does that, if I'm leading with money as a man, I don't trust myself. I don't think she's going to like me enough. So kudos to him that if I don't lead with money, that what's left to see, she may not pick me just for that or be interested just for that. So I'm just going to take that off the table and just make such an outrageous offer, fancy restaurant, whatever, race car or something.
Praise
And
God.
same with women, not to be judgmental, but how soon can I have sex with him? No one thinks that way, but he'll like me. I'm like, you're leading with the wrong thing. And I say that out of concern, not to wag a finger, as in, because if he doesn't like me just to be able to sit with me, my phrase to women is next. We have no tolerance for that. That's not to be ugly. It's just that that should be enough that you're there with him and for him to want to take the time, because we're not asking a lot of men as because it's your heart we're talking about. So therefore, for him to invest in you with time and paying attention, that's the minimal requirement. I mean, that's the bottom floor of expectation, because anything beyond that is fragile, in my opinion. And guys, you all know guys like this. So you know what I'm talking about. If things don't go exactly their way, they're mad and upset. And we don't want to help rescue someone like that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let's talk about the difference between sexuality and intimacy. What does a strong, secure man want? Is he more, how attached is he to sex and how attached is he to intimacy? What do those two words do for you?
Let's see if I can unbundle those. So, sex to me is like chocolate. So, who doesn't like chocolate? Who doesn't like sex? But the same thing with it is, and it depends on the man I'm talking to. A lot of professional athletes find this out the hard way. You can have sex after sex after sex until eventually you get worn out and realizing it's unappealing after a while. In other words, sex alone is like a drug. I'm not saying it doesn't feel good. I'm not saying it's not great. Intimacy, especially for men, is the degree I invest in someone. So if I'm not investing and I get sex quickly, I tend to associate the amount of effort and investment I put into someone with sex. If it comes easy, you're easy. It's not meant to be judgmental. That's the association I make. And it's not that sex is everything, but real intimacy is it's not just physical, but what do we do when we're both mad with each other? Do we turn toward each other? That takes effort. That's not an organic thing. That's a choice. And when you're upset with me, do I hold that space like you're saying? Do I try? Because I want to be that kind of man. The men that I'm thinking of in those groups, we all were there because we wanted to be the best version of a man we could be. And with different personalities, it's not just for your sake, but for my sake. There's a type of father I want to be. There's a type of husband I want to be. And that goes with that. So it's not about being impulsive. It's not just about what can I do that's fun right away. I want something deeper and longer. I want my best friend.
Your best friend, and a best friend is somebody who's going to love you even in the difficult moments and support you even in the difficult moments. So our capacity to do that and our ability to practice doing that so we can bring it to you when we're in a relationship is worth developing while we're in between relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's because we all have good friends as guys. We don't have a best friend as a guy. It's a different dynamic than your best friend being your wife. That's a whole different universe. And we're either going to get that with her or we're not going to have it. And we like that. Men like nesting once they get to that point, but dating's overrated for men. They'll tell you. We'll date to get there, but dating for the sake of dating, it's just a path to get where we want to go. But that closeness you can get with a woman, there's really nothing like it. And we don't always know how to ask for it. But when we experience it, it's like there's nothing like it. It's wonderful.
I really like what you said earlier, Bob, about what doesn't work for you guys, which is when we're not trustworthy, like when we will tear you up and we won't let you forget about something that you did 3 months ago. You want to know that I can be trusted not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever do, I sure as heck better apologize and mean it and find ways to implement what's going to happen next. Like, I think I asked you this when we did a call earlier, Bob. Something that bothers my husband is when things are getting heated and I need to take a break and walk away. And the reason why I need to take a break and walk away is so I don't do that thing.
Mhm.
I want to be trustworthy, and I don't want to be the girl who tears them apart and never
Mhm.
forgets a mistake, right? So I've learned that it's okay to say, Bob, you know what? Our conversation's getting heated. I don't want to become the worst version of myself. Would it be okay with you if I go take the dog for a walk and we finish this conversation after dinner? Is that an okay thing to do, Bob?
Oh, I think that's much better. As you're talking, I'm thinking of the Real Housewives of Pick a City and how they get on stage and just argue. And men watching that are just, I just can't hardly watch, because if guys did that, there'd be a fist fight. I mean, you never see a Real Husbands of whatever that lasted. We don't get that. So we're not over it once that's done, because now we're still agitated and we're still ready. It's combat at that point. And so being able to disengage with that helps us, because we either know once it gets heated to either win, I'm going to win this argument, no matter whether your feelings are hurt, or just, withdraw. We don't know how to do that constant thing like you're talking about, because it just erupts with us at some point. So that's why we'll avoid it at times. So if you can do that, that means for us, it feels like you're in tune with me, that, okay, you realize this is probably getting overheated, whatever. It's more than I can handle. Maybe you can, but you're going to say something that I'm not going to forget for a while.
Yeah, I respect you too much to pull that punch
Yeah.
on you.
Yes.
I respect myself too much to
Mhm.
be that person and allow myself to be that person who would tear someone up that I actually care about.
Mhm.
And you know what's also tied in there that fits into the space between relationships, which is my playground where you all are right now? It's my sandbox. And we get to recreate ourselves when we're in between relationships. It's a sacred time.
Mhm.
How are we trustworthy with ourselves?
Mhm.
Can I be trusted not to tear myself up when I've made a mistake? Right? How do I heal myself when I've made a mistake? When I was mean to myself, right? Most important relationship we're ever going to have with anybody, as long as we live, is the one we have with ourselves. And some people will challenge me and say, nope, it's the one I have with God. That's okay too. It's like,
Mhm.
it gives me shivers, both of them.
Mhm.
Can we be trusted to take care of ourselves? And can we be trusted to take care of the people in our lives and to find a way to deal with the worst parts of ourselves? I call it my 2%. Who is a 2%? The 2% of you that is not fit for human company. Raise your hand if you have that. I've got it. I'm the only one. I'm the only one in the whole room who's not fit for human company 2% of the time. The rest of you, yeah, come on, we all are.
Mhm.
So I like to save Bob for my 2%. I'll say, okay, darling, guess what? I'm going to take a
Mhm.
walk right now and save us both
Mhm.
from the 2%. Would that be okay with you? I need to
Mhm.
blow out some steam, throw some rocks. Do
So,
it.
so let me jump in here because you guys are beating around one of the other important questions here is the expression of the emotions. So when I was married, my wife would say, "You're getting angry." And I would say, "I'm not angry. I'm just being passionate." So the expression of emotion was interpreted differently. Can you speak to that? Because couples get caught up in that, don't they?
I'm
So
just passionate. I don't know, Rich.
that's funny. That's a nicer word, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's much
Just being
nicer. I'm just being
passionate.
passionate.
I just have a knife in my hand, but really, I'm just being passionate.
I'm setting you up, Julie. Take it away.
Oh my God. It's emotions. I love how you said, Bob, that our emotions are just really beautiful and lovely and special to you, and you want access to our emotions. And when we withhold them, you feel cheated, right?
Yeah, when I think of emotions, when we do our emotions class, I found out from a lot of women, they're afraid of them. I like the fun ones, but the ones I don't like, I want to like bury them. And when they dive in with us and realize that, emotions are just a feeling. I'm not minimizing how powerful, just like hunger. No one thinks hunger's bad or sad or anything. And like to your point, Rich, I mean, there's anger and there's a temper. So a temper is what you do with anger. If I pull up the knife or make a threat or whatever, I have a choice with that. I can be angry at you and still be safe. I mean, as a man, that's expected. I can be angry at you and not hit you. That's just a given. No matter how mad I get, hitting's out of bounds. I can be mad at you and not call you the worst name in the world. I'm not at the mercy of my emotions. But if I suppress them, if I stuff them down, push them down, like holding someone's head underwater, when they do come up, they will come up violently or they will come up really intensely. It's the stuffing and putting them off that causes the intensity, not the emotion themselves. It takes a little practice. It's because, see, as a man, I want to see you when you're angry to know that you're safe. I don't want to never see you angry because then I'm wondering, when's it coming? Well, when's, or wow, or what I tell women a lot of times, I said, you're giving him the wrong impression that you're tougher than you are. I said, that would irritate me, and I'm a guy. I said, you're acting like it's no big deal. I said, don't do that, because he thinks it's fine what he did. I said, I don't like it. And it didn't even happen to you. It happened to me, happened to you. So that lack of congruency, like if you said, my mom died yesterday, and you laughed, see, I don't get it. I don't mean you have to cry, but that makes no sense to me. It doesn't sound funny. And see, that's confusing to men if it doesn't somehow match. And see, and so that emotion cues us to also that it's safe to feel. A lot of times men in a relationship start to feel stuff we would never feel because you create that safe place because we've seen it in you and we've experienced it with you. And you're not scared by them. So, okay, maybe they're not so scary.
There are two A's that I'm seeing as sort of a thread among everything we're talking about. One is authenticity, how important authenticity is, that we're real, we're not stuffing, we're not pretending, we're not faking it. And then appreciation. And can we be authentic in our appreciation? Because you can feel it when we're saying the words, but we don't really mean it.
Yes, we can.
The other thing I love for us all to do is get really comfortable sharing what our love languages are. Gil Ferman is not the guy who's going to say, Julie, you are beautiful. You are an amazing woman. I think you're incredible. I'm never going to hear that from Gil Ferman. But you know what? For lunch today, he knew I was really busy today, and he made me macaroni and cheese with bacon and peppers. Okay, that's it. It's how he shows me that he cares. And that he's not yelling at me because I'm down here with you guys tonight, because I told him in advance I would be. So we got to kind of work around each other so that we can avoid conflict and show appreciation and authenticity. Those are the two things I'm hearing. What are some more questions we want to get to?
Oh, here's a good one in the chat right now.
Hey.
Is this whole thing of being physically attracted or not being physically attracted is we're talking about it, but they want to know, why would a man or a woman want to meet someone you are not attracted to? So go back a little bit. Go back to that attraction question. How important is that?
Was it asked by a woman or a man?
It was asked by a woman. Oh,
well, Megan. Hi, Megan. Is that you asking that question?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Here's the deal about attraction. We have a far better ability than men do to develop it over time. So if we are the kind of woman who instantly dismisses a guy that we're not quickly attracted to, or she meets him one time, like, I don't really know, and she just has a series of one-date wonders, that's alarming to me. I want to see what happens on the second date. I want to see what happens on the third date. And if we haven't developed a certain amount of attraction for a guy by the third date, it's probably not going to happen. But if you look at your history and you see a lot of one-date wonders, that's going to worry me, because you're not giving yourself a chance to develop attraction for a man. Now, they don't. Now, I know you ladies don't like to hear this, but I watch it every day. And I do my consultations with men. It takes them half a second to give me the yes or the no on the visuals. Not a second, a half a second. And that's not because they're superficial and shallow. It just is the way that they are. And they have equipment that needs to work for our babies to be born on our planet, right? It's biological. And then you add status on top of that and ego on top of that and all that. So we have to just work with it. And if Bob and I, we haven't done this yet, but when you're ready, Bob, you let me know when you're ready, because we're going to do one of those Zoom consultations, and I'm going to run a search for you, and we're going to look at ladies together, and I'm going to get a handle on it. It's the quickest way I can get a handle on Bob's level of selectivity. And Bob might be the guy who goes for stick skinny size 2 people. Bob might be the guy who likes voluptuous. Bob might be the guy I talked to the other day who really likes dark olive skin and curves and booty and boobies and the whole thing, right? And then there's another guy who said yes to my client this morning, and she's probably a tiny little yoga body type. Fortunately, my husband's not going to go for that type because I'm never going to be that person. I'm probably never going to be 102 pounds. Okay. So we have to work with it. It's not convenient, and it's not because guys are superficial and shallow. So we are robbing ourselves, and we are robbing men, and we're robbing love if we're judging men really quickly on visuals. But I'll give you a caveat there. If you are the type of woman who is really visual and you don't develop attraction for men over time, only 15% of women in the 50,000 interviews I've done have given me that answer. No, you know what? I never develop attraction for a guy. If I'm not attracted initially, it never develops. It's not the end of the world, but that group of women is putting themselves in a very competitive environment because the one guy she finds attractive, all the girls go for that guy, right? So how you can fix it, this is what you do. The more you need attraction in order to kind of be with a guy, the better your flirting skills need to be. So when you're at the car wash and you see that cute guy, you know what to do. You know how to say, nice to meet you. Here's how to find me. Onus is on us, ladies, because really good men are not hustling us. They are not coming up to us and trying to, hey, baby, how you doing? They aren't doing it. They're waiting for the signal. What's it feel like, Bob, when you're at the coffee shop and there's an attractive woman over there and you want to get her eye contact and you just can't? She's got her sunglasses on, she's got a scowl on her face, or she's just like, she's in a bubble and she won't let you penetrate. As opposed to the woman who will hold eye contact with you and smile. Tell me what it's like for you.
So usually I'm with my sons. So just out of principle, I would go over to either one just to show them what to do.
Oh,
That aside, it's much more difficult because without a signal, I don't have any idea what you're thinking, not thinking. And I know me or anyone I think of, you're really flying blind. If you have no signal, no nothing, no, it's okay. It's still up to me, the guy. Still my show. It's still my, but that signal, and you're right, it can be the most subtle thing. But without that, most of the time, aside from posturing for my boys, it would be just don't do that because whether she's in a bad mood, whether she's not interested, whether whatever the reason is, it doesn't seem like she's interested at all. And it doesn't take much for me or for probably for most men, just to approach or reach out, as long as we have some idea that there is some receptivity on her part, some interest.
there's something else I want to put in here because I'm not going to be at the post office with you guys, right? And you're going to see somebody interesting, and I want each of you to know what to do. In real life is picking up steam, okay? Online dating is tanking. People are not, they're not feeling gratified with online dating, although I will still tell you that it's the #1 way that people have found their way into marriage in recent years. So don't give up the online sites, but if it's a soul-sucking experience for you, I want you on a couple of first dates every month, and I don't care how you meet these people. People who are, they meet your key criteria, you meet theirs. Now you can find out those things if you're carefully looking at online dating, or if you're looking at one of my matchmaking profiles, it's easy. But I don't want you to miss the cute person at the pharmacy, right? So I want you all to get better and better and better at holding eye contact. That's the first level of flirting. The second level is talking about anything. Doesn't matter what it is. You're at the grocery store and you're talking about rubber bands, or you're talking about chocolate mint ice cream. I don't care what it is, but you're practicing your engagement. But you've got to do the take them home. You got to take them home. Nice to meet you. Here's how to find me. And by the way, my friends and I plan some really fun events. If you happen to be single, we'll invite you. I have people all over the world, and now the country, the city, the state, and the world now learning how to do this so that we can give you guys a hook. If I say this to you, Bob, and I say, it's so fun to meet you, here's how to find me, you're a blast. Just bumping into you at the dog park was the highlight of my day. Here's how to find me. And by the way, my friends and I throw these great parties. If you happen to be single, we'll invite you. How's that feel?
It's flattering.
When I say that in boot camp, it's like week number 3 of boot camp where we're doing all this, we're going out, and guys will tell me they'll go out and they'll try really hard to flirt and engage with us girls. And they will come back and they will complain and they will say that they couldn't hold eye contact with one woman they were attracted to. We got to practice being accessible and playing with people, and not just to find your guy, not just to find your woman, to brighten the space wherever you are.
So, Julie, I've got a private chat question that came in after you started talking about online.
Private chat. Ooh,
Yeah.
that sounds sexy.
Well, because you touched on the online dating, and yes, the decline, you've talked about it. There is a shakeup there, but what tips can you give them for that first date getting off the app? Because that's the scariest thing. You get off the app and meet in person. How can you help them do better at that?
I like to see people cut straight to the chase. You know, I'm always surprised at how often I'll hear that women are saying the guys just want to chat. They just want to chat. How's your day? Can you guys please promise me that you won't ever say, how's your day? That's just so lame. There's got to be something else you can say. If you really are interested in having a relationship, you got to get to the first date. And the people who aren't going to get to the first date, they won't set the date, they won't have coffee. And don't wait for the guy. Bob, fun to chat with you on Match.com. So when do we get to meet? Aren't you going to ask me out? That's my favorite. The lady at the golf course who loved her date with this guy, was just a charity thing. She thought for sure he was going to ask her out, and he didn't. And she was like, wah. And so she's driving around and she sees him in the parking lot, and she lowers her window and she says, so Bob, aren't you going to ask me out? Married, 2 children. Yeah. Ladies, we hold a lot more cards than we think we do. And if guys aren't being more forthcoming with us, often it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's because a whole lot of women were really mean to this guy when he did reach out. Does it happen to you, Bob, where you've taken that, you've gone across the room, you've asked the woman to date, to dance, you've asked her out, and you got kind of shut down in a mean way? Has it ever happened to you?
It's happened to every man. But see, that's problem for guys, is that's part of it, in the sense of that's just the risk we take. And so that makes you stand out. Not that every woman does it, but when you're gracious, when you don't take it too seriously, regardless of your shape, hair, and all that, that makes you stand, because that comes across as confident. That ability to be at ease, like you're talking about, and the willingness to kind of stick your neck out there is refreshing. So that's, if we're doing a scale 1 to 10, that's plus 2 points. Just that willingness to do that.
And part of the reason why I like the calling card ideas, and for those of you who don't know, calling cards, you don't have anything on this card that's Googleable. All right. So photo that hasn't been put online yet, right? I recommend that all of you constantly are working on your photos, some selfies, take pictures when you look good, when you're having a good hair day, whatever, because the way people are Googling each other right now is frightening. They can Google a photo, they can Google a phone number. Google yourself and find out how scary it is. And then you do this, what Anne did. She's got a phone number on her calling card. It's not Googleable. It's a Google Voice number. If you have a Gmail account, it's free. Use Google Voice. It's easy. There's another app called the Burner app that some people are using. And because she's got power. When she gives this card to Bob and she says, my friends and I plan some great events. If you happen to be single, let me know. We'll invite you. It's a great thing to do, because what I don't know yet is, am I Bob's flavor of beauty or not? Maybe he likes African-American women, olive skin. Maybe he likes big boobs. I ain't got them, whatever his thing is, I don't know. But maybe he knows, oh, Julie's got friends. So maybe if I go to Julie's party, there's a lady with red hair and I got a thing about red hair, right? How do we know? It's all that the space between relationships is ripe with opportunities for growth and development. So I want to encourage all of you to look and see, where are you strong, fan that flame and do more of it. And where are you weak and how can you get stronger? What else is in our chat?
Oh, here's a great one again. What about a man that writes back and doesn't even ask a question?
Well, okay. This one of the common complaints among men on first dates, you guys know, is sometimes you guys will peacock and you'll just be, showing us all your pretty feathers and telling us all your stories. And sometimes it's a story you've told 432 times and you whipped it out again on this first date. And you're 20 minutes into it and the lady's like, yawn. She knows you've told the story all these times and she's wondering when you're going to ask something about her. And you're nervous and you're just talking. So what you're going to do, ladies, is you're going to save the guy. You're going to say, well, gosh, it's so fun to hear about your fishing trip, Bob. What do you want to know about me? Pick a topic, any topic. But I'm going to say it in a way that's not going to admonish you. It's not going to make you feel like you were misbehaving because you didn't ask me about my Christmas dinner with my family, whatever. Save him. And then if he does it again and he goes off on another tangent about another fishing trip or whatever, I'm going to give him one more chance. Well, that was a great fishing story. So what else do you want to know about me? Pick a topic, any topic, be light and save him. And if he doesn't, if he goes back to his other fishing trip for the third time, oh, well, probably not my guy, but maybe he made a friend. If I ever need to know where to go to get the right fishing lure, I'm going to call Bob and he's going to tell me because he knows a lot about fishing. Right? I didn't throw him in the trash because he has nothing else to talk about but his fishing trips. By the way, guys, don't use the fish shot. Ladies don't like it. Ladies don't like the fish shot. Do you want to know why guys use the fish shot? Did you tell me this, Bob? Why do guys use the fish shot?
I don't know.
Because it shows conquest. Look what I did.
Okay.
I killed the fish, but also it's because guys don't walk around taking pictures of themselves. The ones that do are the ones in the gym all the time, and we don't really want that guy either. And why do they do the bathroom shot in front of the nasty ass shower curtain? Why do they do that shot? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I understand that the reason why you guys do the nasty ass shower curtain shot in the bathroom is because typically guys only have one mirror in their house.
That one's probably true.
Especially if they're divorced and she got the house and he's in a stupid condo or the apartment or whatever, trying to, recreate his life. Meanwhile, women are complaining he doesn't have enough money. Well, he just lost 50% of it and he didn't ask for the divorce. So we got to remember that stuff too, right? So, as long as we're talking about all kinds of stuff, what I want you guys to know is because you're in this webinar right now, you're important to me. You're in my community now. Now, a bunch of you are brand new. The first thing about this crazy girl, Juli Ferman, who's full of it. And what I want you to know is I'm here to serve you at every level. So wherever you are in my community, move forward. If you and I've never gotten on the phone, had a 30-minute phone call, well, let's do that. I'm going to schedule it with you. You'll hear from my girl, Jan, and she's probably on the call. Jan has been with me for years and years and years, and she will reach out to each of you to invite you to a 30-minute call. If you haven't yet done the consultation with me, that $295 Zoom consultation, will invite you to do that. That makes you eligible for mitzvah matches. What's a mitzvah? A mitzvah is a Jewish term for a good deed. It's a blessing. It's a gift. And I give as many introductions away for free as I do for fee, and I love doing it, and I don't promise them. I just got a chance to fall in love with Lisa recently. So if I end up with a great guy that I want to introduce to Lisa, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch her to him. And if he says, not so much, who else you got? I'm not calling her to ruin her day. I'm only going to call her if I have good news, right? If I have a suitor or I have an event. And those of you who haven't yet had the chance to be in boot camp, you'll have an opportunity for that as well. Boot camp always sells out. I think we have 3 spots left. And if you want one of those spots, Jan's in charge of how you get into boot camp. So let us know if you have a question about that. And I'm happy to get on a call with you to talk for 30 minutes about what boot camp might be like for you. What happens is 6 recorded course modules you can listen to anytime. There's homework. And the homework is really beautiful homework. It will challenge you to look at our relationships and in what ways have we been lovely? In what ways have we been maybe not so lovely, right? Communication, we have a week on that. And then we have one-on-ones. Some people don't want to bring all their stuff to the group office hours calls, which are on Thursdays in the evening and Friday in the morning. And they'll bring it to me one-on-one. Whatever's been stopping you from loving yourself more and from being lovable to other people, that's what we're working on in boot camp, because we're celebrating that space in between relationships. And I can't promise relationships to any of you, except that the relationship we have with ourselves is what's most important. And out of that love, we practice loving each other. And we do all of that great stuff in boot camp. There's a whole graduate group of people who've done boot camp, more than 100 of us now. And right now, 62% of the people who've been through this boot camp are in relationships, and they weren't in relationships when they started. So I know we're on to something. And it's all about making personal matchmaking more accessible to all of you and having the courage to stretch beyond our comfort zone with ourselves and with each other and practicing. So that's what boot camp's all about. What else do we have? We got time for maybe another question.
Well, a lot of people now are just talking about the pictures and,
Pictures.
the pictures for their profiles. And I was taught when I was single was get a picture of you and a dog. Even if you don't own a dog, borrow a dog and get a picture. Is that really good to fake it like
not
that?
necessarily, because seriously, some guys are going to think she's never going to be able to come over because she's got to go home and feed her dog. Don't put a photo with a dog on your profile unless you do have this dog and this dog means a lot to you. All right. Young kids, don't put young kids. It's really, I want a crystal clear, beautiful, smiling face shot with a smiley face, not like, if all of your smiling shots don't show teeth, you know what they think? She's got bad teeth. Her teeth are yellow, her teeth are crooked, her teeth are whatever. So play with it. And if you have something funny going on, like maybe your teeth are a little crooked or whatever, just have fun with it and find an angle that's flattering. I want you to play with your camera. And then we need the body shot. I've got a lady right now I am dying to get on a date with this man I just did a Zoom consultation with, and I'm waiting on her body shot. She's like, well, I want to lose 15 pounds first. Fine, but give me what you got today, because I may not have them available in 2 months after you've dropped your 7 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever. Keep playing with your photos and angle them so they're not just straight on. Find out what your angles are. And don't take the selfie like this and then it's looking up your nose. Play with your girlfriends and you all find a way, like on a date when you all go out and you have drinks or whatever, take photos of each other. When you're on a date with somebody and you know you're not going to see this person again because it's not really a connection that way, and you know their photos really stink, save them. So you know what, Bob? You are so much cuter than that photo you've got on your Match.com profile. How about if I take a couple photos of you right now and I'll give them to you? I'll send them to you. Would that be all right? Not the end of the world, right? If your photos suck, I want to help you get good photos so that maybe if I'm not your girl, the next one might be. Can we just save each other, you guys?
Well, the question chat is all wiped out, but I'm interested, Bob, what's your biggest piece of advice overall for all the different topics tonight? What's the biggest one that in your mind these days you need to tell everybody about? What's the biggest piece of advice?
And probably the most practical is most of the problems I see occur the first few dates, like when Julie's talking about don't do this the first date, the second one, because it's so easy to make a false impression, that, maybe I'm trying too hard. So if I can get folks to pace it and go slower early on, I'm not trying to take fun away as much as give them time to get to know you. So, I mean, Julie's fun, bubbly, but if she overdid it on the first date, that might scare me. Oh my gosh, is this what she's like all the time? It's not a wrong thing. It's out of proportion. Haven't seen her in any other setting but that. And because men also, we tend to get real excited real fast and then we crash. And so you ladies pacing him and not let him see you as much as he wants and all helps us sort of keep that in check versus really intense all this, make all these promises, and then it hits me and oh my gosh, what did I say? It's not that we're an awful person. We just got ahead of ourselves. So that fixes a lot of problems if I can get someone to pace themselves. I mean, have you
I
seen the same,
love
Julie?
That's beautiful. And the thing to just keep in the back of your mind is that most first dates, I mean, the vast majority of first dates are not your person. So is it a
Mhm.
failure if you go out on a date with Bob and it didn't end up in lifelong love? Only if you had only one possible outcome that would be
Mhm.
success. So that's part of what I love to see you guys doing is just lighten up and expand your social circle and make sure no matter what, if you're on a date with Bob, make sure he feels good about himself at the end of that
Mhm.
date. If you're on a date with Rich, can you make him smile? Can you make him feel appreciated? Can you make him feel like you were grateful for the time and energy that he put into getting to know who you are?
Mhm.
Kind of like when you walk into the grocery store, you're not walking into the grocery store to find your person. You're walking into the grocery store to get carrots. But while you're there, you might as well spread some sunshine and lift some spirits. Do the same thing on every single one of your dates.
Mhm.
There was a date that happened a couple weeks ago, and it almost got called off because her sister was in ICU. And she loves her sister. And her sister's been in ICU for a couple of weeks. It's a very serious situation. And she was authentic about it. So the guy's name wasn't Bob, but when she walked into the date, she said, "By the way, Bob, I just want you to know I'm so glad I'm here. And if I just start crying in the middle of dinner, it's because I'm worried about my sister, and my
Mhm.
sister's in ICU. And I just want to let you know that. And I'm here, even though life is messy."
Mhm.
Would you rather I have said that on a first date and show up, or, called off the date because life wasn't perfect?
I would understand if, especially your sister, but the fact that you would take the time and say that makes you more real, makes you more interesting. Arguably, it makes you more appealing. Maybe you're not my type at some point, but just that gesture tells me a lot about your character.
Yeah, kindness. It goes a long way.
Mhm.
Appreciation and authenticity, those are the two words that
Mhm.
stick in my mind from talking with all you guys. What else you got, Rich? We got 3 minutes. You're going to close us down. What are we going to close with?
What are we going to close down to? I know one I don't think we've ever touched on.
Okay.
First date, alcohol consumption.
Oh,
What's
good
your
one.
best advice of drink, have fun, but don't go too far? What do you do with all that stuff?
Oh, try to not have more than one drink, folks. The second drink is usually where we get in trouble. And if you have the third drink, oh, forget it. Why is it that guys buy drinks for ladies anyway? Why did the great creator put alcohol on the planet? It's a one-word answer. You know what it is, Rich? Procreation.
Bob, do you agree on that? Do you agree?
That's the reason. If you are like me and you're passionate, like what you said earlier about me being bubbly and effervescent, what I got from guys a lot when I was single is, "Oh, Julie's great, but you don't want to deal with that all the time, do you?" It's like I
Mhm.
got too much energy for most
Mhm.
people. It's just who I am. I'm a golden retriever. But who are you authentically? and how can you present yourself, and
Mhm.
how can we laugh about who we are? It's just all about looking for what's right. What feisty Frida Furman said, look at the donut, not the hole. That's what her advice was to all of you. Look at the
Mhm.
donut, not the hole. Look for what's right instead of what's wrong. Rich, should I close them with my little poem that I wrote for my Learning Annex
Yeah,
class?
I think that's very, very cool. Bob, I'm going to pull you back. Don't go anywhere, Bob. Stick around for a little bit. I'm going to let Julie take center stage and read that poem because it's really good. Take it away.
I'm not going to read it. I'm going to try to remember it. Okay. And I bet I can do it. The world's a confusing place. So study what's under a face. If you judge them in haste, your chances you'll waste. Let your smarts, not your heart, set the pace. Oh, the sorts of folks you'll meet, and some will be so sweet. Some white bread, some wheat, some tickle your feet. And then there'll be those you'll delete. Broken hearts, they do mend. New love letters you will send with surprises around every bend. Look for beauty, the kind that comes from the inside, and you will find it in the end. Thanks for coming to class.
That's Juli Ferman, Cupid's coach.
I really appreciate all you guys. Bob, anything you want to share with the world before we let you go?
No, I found this was very, not just insightful, but it's a good reminder, especially since you do this all the time and you see what works and what doesn't work. So for all watching, this is just a different kind of matchmaking as far as where it's very heart-centered and it's very much about who's a good fit for you versus, oh my gosh, he's got to have these all criteria. But sometimes our criteria is not the best fit for us. So I appreciate all that you do and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Bob. And Rich, thanks for being the MC with the mostest. We're all good. Watch your emails. If you aren't the one who checks your emails, well, you should over the next day or two, because we're going to be checking in with all of you. And be sure, if you have not recently, update your profile. Some of you don't know, we changed the whole system within the last year. I moved everybody over from the old system to the new system, and I have lots more capabilities in the new system. So if you haven't updated your profile in the last 3 months or 6 months, shoot me an email. We'll let you know how. You might not be able to log in at juliferman.com with you won't be able to log in with your old information. We need to get you a new password.
And
So all's good.
don't forget, boot camp is filling up. If you want it, get to it really quickly because it always fills, right, Julie? Boot camp
Yes,
always fills.
it always does. And the next one's going to be in May. So if you miss this one, the next one will be in May, and we do it 6 times a year. And it's my life's best work. And I'm really happy to be able to do it. When you're in boot camp, I can't help it. I have to search for you. I have to try to match you. Even if you're not paying me the big bucks, I don't care. I just want to make the matches happen for you guys. I'm turning 65 in May. I'm going to be on Medicare. And I don't know how many years I'm going to get to do this. I want to match you all while I'm still sitting in this chair. So get your profiles up to date, have fun with your photos, and flirt at the car wash is my favorite place to see you guys flirting. You got 20 minutes anyway. You might as well make something good happen. Flirting at the car wash. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.